My name is Rory Houlihan. I ran for U.S. Senate last spring, 2016, to stop the ticking time bomb so I could put our economy on track for a bright new day instead of all things ending. Now making plans on running for office in 2018, but I still need to tell. So let me educate you on the ticking time bombs and give you the rest of the story. Part 12. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In science, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. But with folks, the reaction is often many times greater. The current impasse and government shutdown is the story of three hostage group con, the Conservative Freedom Caucus cons and the Trump administration cons are doing. If you have had a time to either read or listen to my posts, you would have learned about Lucius Quintus Cincinnatus Lamar II, absoluteness of discrimination against the dominant group principle. The conservative cons are motivated by greed. They are always going after the biggest pot of money. What pot is bigger than our Social Security? Would one of the ways you do this, our national retirement program of last resort, would one of the ways you do this is to get rid of young payers into? Remember, to defund is to destroy. D equals D con. Would getting rid of DACA and sending all the dreamers to Mexico help to do that? How about the El Salvadorians? Understand there is another group being held hostage by Paul Ryan, the Freedom Caucus, Donald Trump's administration con man hardliners. Understand, predators always go after the widows and the weak. Quite sneaky, too. It is our retired folks who are the third conservative cons hostage group. Your SSI is under attack once again by those who are looking for an excuse to privatize your retirement and give your retirement of last resort to the Wall Streeters. And what are they doing to the private gold standard right now? Let's take a look at what legislation Andy Barr and the Freedom Caucus has proposed this year. Let's see, H.R. 1628, American Health Care Act of 2017, ends health care dollars for tens of thousands of Kentuckians in the 6th District, reduces expanded Medicare, and increases health care insurance costs. Andy Barr and the Conservative Freedom Caucus stands for the rights of the irresponsible folks and not those who act responsibly and get insurance. Andy Barr and the Freedom Caucus, H.R. 1628, raise hospital costs, which raise your insurance rates. Health insurance is life insurance. Without, you ain't got much life. Do they really stand for the good, responsible, hardworking folks? Or do conservative Freedom Caucus guys like Andy Barr continue to tell us that they stand for the rights of the irresponsible? I don't want to buy insurance, folks. Not the good, hardworking, responsible folks who buy insurance. Raise the bar and lower the people. Raise the costs and lower your income. Conservative Freedom Caucus folks like Andy Barr do the corporate greed waltz on the good, hardworking, responsible folks. They take your rights, they take your income, they take your retirement. HJ Res 111, forced arbitration between, returned it as a tool which financial institutions can use when caught defrauding and abusing their own customers, equals take your rights. H.R. 10, Financial Choices Act of 2017, unwinds most of the major oversight of large financial institutions and non-financial institutions which can influence U.S. financial stability. by irresponsible actions and activities. H.R. 4270, Monetary Policy Transparency and Accountability Act of 2017. This should be called the I Can't Understand Federal Monetary Policy, so keep any federal action simple so lawyers like me, Andy Barr, without any significant economic training, can figure out what you do law. It eliminates the flexibility for the Federal Reserve in setting monetary policy with a requirement the Federal Reserve adhere to specific rules for setting monetary policy strategy defined by this bill. Too narrow is to take on here. This includes defining short term interest rate targets, even those these are typically adjusted based on changes in economic conditions. The specific monetary policy instrument from a predefined list of 1 to 3 at the most rules, and to provide explanations for any material deviation from the reference monetary policy rule. Barr is the sponsor of this resolution. H.R. 3857, Pass Act of 2017. Consider this the GOP version of consumer protection as it relates to financial services. It is entirely partisan. It repeals the Department of Labor fiduciary rule. This bill specifically states that it is not a violation of the standard of conduct if a broker or dealer to receive compensation for a transaction, to recommend proprietary products and services or a limited range of products or services, or to not recommend a less expensive security or investment strategy in place of a more expensive security or strategy when making a client recommendation. Under this act, there is no presumption that a broker or dealer has any fiduciary responsibility to their clients. There is nothing in this law that specifically forbids brokers or dealers from outright lying to their clients and claiming they didn't know later. It forbids labor, treasury, or employee retirement income security act of the Internal Revenue Code to define the circumstances under which a person is considered a fiduciary that would impose any such obligation on a broker or dealer. It also preempts state laws that may attempt to define fiduciary responsibilities of brokers or dealers of securities. They plan to send our elderly, our widows, and our weak to the wolves. Do worry, Andy Barr and Conservative Freedom Caucus have a retirement plan for you. Retire you to the streets, retirement by bullet to the brain, or self retirement by opioid induced haze. What a great future they have for our good, hardworking, responsible folks. You worked hard all your life. You have, I have seen so many of you, my wife, with your knees shot from years on concrete floors, your back shot because of years of heavy lifting. Do worry, Conservative Freedom Caucus folks like Andy Barr believe you don't deserve a disability retirement for long. H.R. 1540, Social Security Disability Insurance Return to Work Act. This entirely partisan bill, for which Barr is a co sponsor, places additional restrictions on individuals receiving Social Security disability insurance by categorizing them into groups based on how long they deserve to receive disability insurance. before they return to work. While the bill states its intention is to help individuals on disability to return to work, but the focus of the bill is not on getting these individuals work or rehabilitation. Rather, it is assessing them routinely to make sure they do not receive disability longer than necessary. It even increases funding for continuing disability reviews. So, the choice Democrats are being given by Paul Ryan, the conservative Freedom Caucus, and the Trump administration's conservative cons is this: trade one of Trump's hostage groups, the Chip Kids, or two of Trump's hostage groups, the Dreamers and the retirees. You know, we, the United States, have a rule not to work with terrorists. Don't terrorists take hostages? Don't they use hostages as a leveraging tool? If you were one of those hostages, would you not want us Democrats to stick by our guns and save your hostage life? Lamar understood that he had to stand against all hatred, all bigotry, and all discrimination, and not give in to their game in order to stop the convoke of this day from of his day from keeping the South from recovering. Lamar's ADADGP logic and facts was so powerful that Lamar talked General Nathan Bedford Forrest, the guy who started the KKK, into denouncing the KKK, going to a black church, apologizing to the black congregation for what he had done, and joining the black congregation for the rest of his life. The rest of the story. You have a good and blessed day, folks. Uh, and please subscribe to my Rory for Us YouTube channel. Bye.